Making headlines. President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu ratifies the 19th Amendment of the Export-Import Act of the Maldives. President Dr. Muizzu decides to propose legal reforms to the Penal Code in order to facilitate broader investigations into battling corruption and illicit enrichment. And the government introduces a significant reform along with the State Budget 2025, such that the current subsidy system, which issues subsidies to companies, is transitioned to a system which issues subsidies to the residents who need it the most. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Hello and welcome to PSN News in English with me, Mariam Shawshat. President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu ratifies the 19th Amendment of the Export-Import Act of the Maldives. The amendment was approved by Parliament on October 31st with unanimous votes of 71 parliamentarians. The amendment seeks to introduce significant changes to the import duties on tobacco and tobacco products as part of the government's efforts to control tobacco use. Under the new amendment, the Act has been revised to modify the import regulations for tobacco products including prepared tobacco, tobacco alternatives, electronic cigarettes, vaping devices, heated tobacco products and their parts. Additionally, President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu has decided to ban the importation of e-cigarettes, vape products and related items starting from November 15th. The new import duty rates on tobacco and related products are general tobacco and prepared tobacco products, 200% on all items in this category, excluding specific items noting below. 50% duty plus $0.52 per cigarette. Traditional cigarettes, 50% duty plus $0.52 per traditional cigarette. Flavored chemicals used in electronic cigarettes and other tobacco products, 50% duty plus $0.52 per milliliter. Heated tobacco products and consumable tobacco sticks, 50% duty plus $0.52 per stick. Furthermore, the Act mandates that all relevant rules and regulations be established or updated within 30 days of the enactment of the amendment and published in the Government Gazette. The 19th Amendment to the Maldives Export-Import Act has now taken effect, marking a new regulatory landscape for the import of tobacco products and electronic smoking devices in the Maldives. The government anticipates a revenue of $68 million next year from these import duties.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وبعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته وارزقنا شفاعته برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
For over 30 years, we have been getting stronger and faster. We have been expanding our network across the globe. In the Middle East and Northern Africa, we have Sister Union, Arab States Broadcasting Union, sharing news with us daily. In Europe, we exchange news with over 60 different European broadcasters, and in America, CNN receives news materials from AVN and broadcasts them all over the world. Asian news is changing faster and having more of an impact on global affairs than ever before. The new internet platform has made it easier to contribute and access current news events, and the rise of membership participation has led to a dramatic increase of items being exchanged over the last year. So join us as we document history in the making. Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes.
AVN, every Thursday night at 11 o'clock on PSM News.
President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu decides to propose legal reforms to the penal code in order to facilitate broader investigations into battling corruption and illicit enrichment. The announcement was made by the President in a post shared on social media. In the social media post, President Dr. Muizzu stated that decisions have been made to propose amendments to investigate corruption cases within the government authorities suspected of gaining or having gained illicit gains. As such, he stated that amendments will be brought to Section 515 of the Penal Code. The President disclosed that this decision will be forwarded to the Parliament next week. Section 515 of the Penal Code criminalizes and codifies illicit gains. President noted that these reforms will grant broad powers to investigate the President, members of the Cabinet, members of Parliament, judges, civil employees and former civil employees suspected of gaining or having gained illicit benefits. President Dr. Muizzu on multiple platforms had reiterated his and his administration's commitment to eliminating corruption from the society. In his inaugural address since taking office as president, he committed to being a fair leader, explicitly denouncing all forms of theft and corruption. Regarding this move by President Dr. Muizzu, Minister of Homeland Security and Technology Ali Ihsan stated that the current penal code was just written laws with no intention of being implemented. He lauded the President's decision of introducing legal reforms to combat corruption, stating that the amendment will play a key role in addressing corruption cases. The 16th Conference of the Parties COP16 to the Convention on Biological Diversity CBD, which was held in Cali, Colombia, concludes successfully. The conference, which was held from October 29th to 30th, was attended by Minister of Climate Change, Environment and Energy Tariq Ibrahim, is the highest level of delegation representing the Maldives. Minister Tariq announced that the Maldives has been elected as a bureau member from the Asia-Pacific region for the 17th Conference of the Parties and selected to co-chair the conference following discussions with senior officials from other nations. He highlighted that the primary focus of the discussions was on enhancing collaboration in environmental matters and establishing a fund to protect endangered species under the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. Minister of Environment, Climate Change emphasized that this fund will significantly contribute to the conservation of endangered species and their habitats, providing financial support and resources to countries like the Maldives to facilitate the implementation of the convention. During the conference, all parties reached an agreement on the designation of specific areas for species, following extensive discussions over the past 8 years. During the interventions, Minister Tariq shed light on the environmental challenges facing the Maldives and discussed the potential use of Planet's satellite data to tackle these issues. He engaged in extensive talks with various parties and states that support the Maldives in its environmental initiatives. The government introduces a significant reform along with the State Budget 2025 such that the current subsidy system, which issues subsidies to companies, is transitioned to a system which issues subsidies to the residents who need it the most. While the government has proposed a budget worth $3.7 billion, it has decided to implement stringent measures to reduce state expenses. Regarding this, Minister of Finance Musa Zamir stated that issuing subsidies to those who require it the most is one of the top priorities. Under these efforts, a reform has been introduced to transition the subsidy system that grants subsidies to any requester to one that provides assistance only to those in need. In a recent report released by the World Bank, Maldives Development Update, Seeking Stability in Turbulent Times, revealed that the wealthiest in the Maldives benefit disproportionately from the country's universal subsidy system. The report highlights that about 43% of subsidies go to the wealthiest segments of society, benefiting the richest 40%. This represents 4.1% of the national budget. Notably, the top 10% of earners receive 13% of these subsidies, which accounts for only 2% of their income, while the bottom 10% receive a mere 8%. To mitigate the effects of the transition to a new subsidy system, Deputy Minister of Finance Ahmad Said Mustafa announced that special measures have been incorporated into the budget for implementation. As part of these efforts, Deputy Minister Said mentioned that the budget includes salary increases for civil service workers and employees within the judicial system. Speaking on a program aired on PSM News, Deputy Minister Said stressed that residents cannot visualize the expenses incurred by the government. He further recognized that the existing subsidy system is socially inequitable as well. The National Health Insurance provider Asanda Company Limited announces changes to its outpatient services to prioritize private insurance schemes. The company stated that this initiative aims to ensure the sustainable provision of services under Asanda scheme in accordance with the decisions made by the National Social Protection Agency NSPA. NSPA stated that the changes will prioritize private insurance in billing individuals who seek outpatient healthcare services starting November 1st. This change is part of the government's broader efforts to reform and enhance the Asanda scheme. The NSPA clarified that individuals whose private insurance does not cover specific services or has expired will still receive coverage under Asanda. Furthermore, Asanda Company stated that the health insurance schemes under Maldives Police Service MPS and the Maldives National Defence Force MNDF are not considered as private insurances. Moreover, billing for individuals seeking inpatient services will be continued as before under Asanda scheme. Additional information on these changes can be sought by contacting the call center of Asanda. It has also urged individuals to report any instances in which services are provided against these guidelines. Bank of Maldives BML releases its third quarter 2024 report, reporting $31.9 million as net profits, a notable 9.6% increase from the previous quarter. The bank reported an operating profit of $46.6 million, which is an up of 2.9% from the previous quarter. The report indicates that the bank's loan portfolio continues to grow steadily, with $77.8 million issued as new loans for individuals and businesses during the quarter. Meanwhile, total assets at the end of the quarter stood at $2.90 billion, and capital adequacy remains strong at 54% ratio, well above regulatory requirements. Commenting on the results, the Chief Executive Officer of BML, Mohammad Sharif, expressed confidence that this positive momentum will continue through the remainder of the year. During the third quarter, BML made a substantial investment in the Islamic University of Maldives Sanabil project. The bank has also announced winners of the $64,850 worth Bank Fund initiative, which will support 5 projects in the areas of education, environment, sports and community development to promote sustainability, innovation and provide a social opportunity for communities. With a nationwide network of 39 branches across all 20 atolls, 89 self-service banking centers, 144 ATMs, cash agent service and a full suite of digital banking services, BML has expressed its commitment to supporting individuals, businesses and communities nationwide. Managing Director of Maldives Marketing and Public Relations Corporation MMPRC, Ibrahim Shiuri, announces new initiatives to promote film tourism in the Maldives. Shiuri made these remarks during the launch ceremony of the tourism brand for Guradu, Kafu Atoll. Speaking at the event, Managing Director of Maldives Marketing and Public Relations Corporation MMPRC, Ibrahim Shiuri underscored MMPRC's commitment to boosting tourist arrivals during off-peak seasons by diversifying tourism offerings. He emphasized the need to explore different avenues beyond traditional tourism, suggesting that hosting annual sports and recreational events could significantly attract visitors year-round. He also shared plans to introduce activities aimed at positioning the Maldives as a location for the film industry. Focusing on the tourism landscape in Guradu, Shiuri noted that the island currently hosts 23 guest houses. He highlighted MMPRC's ongoing efforts to collaborate with local guest house owners to strengthen the island's tourism sector, reaffirming MMPRC's support for collaborative initiatives. This move aligns with broader national efforts to establish the Maldives as a destination for film productions. Meanwhile, Minister of Economic Development Mohammad Said previously mentioned plans to produce a Hollywood film in the Maldives, signaling a strong push toward film tourism. Samsung Electronics reports third quarter sales above its own expectations, but its semiconductor unit underperformed against market expectations, with high bandwidth memory or HBM the biggest difference maker. Samsung Electronics' third quarter sales stood at 7.9 trillion won, roughly $57.4 billion. Sales increased nearly 7%, setting a record quarterly high. The tech giant's sales growth was driven by increase in signature product sales and unit prices. However, Samsung's operating profit fell 12% from the second quarter, mainly due to the company's underperforming semiconductor business. Unlike the struggling system and foundry sectors, the memory business saw a 112% on-year spike, driven by the demands from sectors including artificial intelligence, and thus became the only semiconductor business that outperformed projections. The market was relieved by the fact that the nation's premier chipmaker avoided seeing dipping figures, but the semiconductor sector's operating profit rate, which plunged more than 9 percentage points from the second quarter, is a cause for concern. For the third quarter alone, Samsung operating profit rate was merely one-third that of its rival SK Hynix. High bandwidth memory or HBM was the difference maker. Israel pounds Beirut's southern suburbs with a series of powerful airstrikes, after issuing evacuation orders to residents in the first such strikes in days targeting the dense urban area. The Israeli military said it was targeting Hezbollah facilities and assets, an assertion that it has repeated over the course of dozens of strikes over more than a month in the neighborhood where the Iran-backed group holds sway. The strikes followed a renewed but as yet a fruitless bout of US-led diplomacy aimed at getting a ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon to stop over a year of fighting between Israel and Iran-backed groups Hamas and Hezbollah. US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said on that Israel and Lebanon were moving toward understandings on what is required for implementing a long-violated UN Resolution 1701 that would be the basis for ending the current conflict. But time is running thin to get a resolution before US elections on November 5th, and Lebanese officials and analysts were pessimistic after reports US envoy Amos Hochstein would not be heading to Beirut from Israel, where he was on Thursday. The conflict in Lebanon has dramatically escalated over the past 5 weeks, with most of the 2,800 deaths reported by the Lebanese Health Ministry for the past 12 months occurring in that period. Lebanon's Prime Minister had expressed hope on Wednesday that a ceasefire deal with Israel would be announced within days, as Israel's public broadcaster published what it said was a draft agreement providing for an initial 60-day truce. Real Madrid announces they are donating €1 million to help the victims of the deadly floods in the Valencian region, which have killed at least 155 people. The donation is part of a fundraising campaign launched by the Real Madrid Foundation and the Red Cross to provide support by those impacted by the storm. The club said in a statement Real Madrid will kickstart the campaign with a donation of €1 million, which will go towards helping the numerous families currently dealing with what is a critical situation and who are in need of all the assistance and solidarity. Earlier, the club La Liga clash away to Valencia on Saturday was postponed along with all soccer matches scheduled to be played in the Valencian region this weekend by the Spanish Football Federation RFEF. It said the RFEF have agreed this to postpone several matches due to be held this week in the Valencian community, which has been severely affected by DANA that has caused fatalities and numerous material damages due to flooding. DANA is a Spanish acronym for High Altitude Isolated Depression, and unlike common storms or squalls, it can form independently of polar or subtropical jet streams and become a destructive weather system. Women's matches, youth games and futsal games were also postponed. The RFEF postponed 6 midweek Copa del Rey matches featuring La Liga clubs like Valencia, Getafe and Real Sociedad after authorities advised against all non-essential travel in the region. The RFEF added beyond the postponements, Spanish football wanted to show its solidarity with the people affected, especially with the families of those who have died in this natural disaster. In his kitchen turned into a makeshift soup kitchen, Lebanese creative director and bistro owner Julian Hakim stir a pot of soup with a savory aroma filling the room. Using recipes passed down from his mother, Hakim, with the help of neighbors and other volunteers, has been cooking for those in need 3 to 4 times a week, providing meals for around 300 people each day. His impromptu initiative started when Israel ramped up its strikes on Lebanon some 5 weeks ago. Hakim has also transformed his living room into a temporary warehouse, packed with clothes, mattresses and baby formula, all ready for distribution. Among those Hakim and his community service friends assist are members of Lebanon's deaf community, dear to Hakim's heart, who can't hear the warnings or the news. He and other volunteers take turn in providing warm meals to many people with hearing impairment who gather in a cafe in Beirut to support each other. Salman helped interpreting the thoughts of some people gathering with him. Abdullah Hakim, a 30-year-old with hearing impairment, recalled a terrifying night in Koberi in Beirut's southern suburbs when a strike shook his home. Now he leans on his community's support. Meanwhile, Mohammed Hussein Bebe, displaced from Mahruna in southern Lebanon, spoke about how his house was destroyed and he now lives with family in Beirut. Israel and Lebanese armed group Hezbollah has been fighting for the past year in parallel with Israel's war in Gaza after Hezbollah struck Israeli targets in solidarity with its ally Hamas in Gaza. The conflict in Lebanon has dramatically escalated over the last 5 weeks, with most of the 2,800 deaths reported by the Lebanese Health Ministry for the past 12 months occurring in that period. And that's all we have for you right now. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more news updates. Have a good day. Goodbye. ಮಗುಮತಿಗೆ ಸಲಾಮತ ರಕ್ಕಾತಿರಿಕಮಂ ಹೆದಿಫಾವಾ ಕವಾದುತಕ ಸಮಾಲು ವೆಲವ್ವ ಮಗುಗೆ ವ್ಯಾಫಳಿನ್ ದುವ್ವುಮಂ ಆದ ಕುರವ್ವ ಮಗುಮತಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಹದಾಫಾ ಮಗು ಫುರಾಲಾಗೆನ್ ನುದುವ್ವ ಮಗುಗ ದುವ್ವಾಯಿರು ಬಹ ತಂದೆವ್ವ